Hello, everyone. Today is November 20th, and this is the HCD robustness test meeting. Let me prepare or copy the agenda for today. Oh, I think we just used from last month. So today, are there any questions or that's about HCD robustness that you want to ask? Please post them. Happy to discuss HCD correctness and robustness test. But if I will give you I know, a minute or two, but if not, we can move forward with trashing the pro. Okay. If not, let's go to see the recent issues. I think during like couple of last weeks, there was one interesting, if correctness, more about availability issue, how etcd reacts in case of disk space. So we found an issue in etcd that usually if it runs out of disk, things should be okay. But if we run out of disk during defrag, which requires rebuilding or reorganizing the database, the Bibble database, it will cause a panic. So there is a issue filed for that. It has been already fixed. However, like as a test, we can only test like running out of disk for a couple of scenarios. Like here, I think in the fix we I didn't even, let's look at the fix. We have an end-to-end test that just simulates defrag or bbold coroutine that on the defrag command it will return an error, which then will cause, which is a proxy testing, not a direct. We don't test directly what is happening. We just assume that database in if they bbold will return an error, we will panic, so we will want to prevent against it. So this is like very narrow regression test. From like correctness, robustness perspective, we should etcd should never panic until we in very critical places, and out of disk is not the case. So we should. It would be great if someone could take a look and maybe improve the behavior of or first test and improve how we can detect any issues like this. So there are a couple of options. There was someone already asking about this. But yeah, would be great if we can just clearly state etcd will handle. We know and we verified that etcd will handle running out of disk in any circumstance, because it's always good to if something picks like this picks out, or we validate that fall, or if there's an issue in one subsystem, it would be good to verify if this is something just one place we missed, or there is a pattern of broader failures or not correct handling of out of disk errors. So yeah, if anyone is interested, happy to help work on that. There are a couple of still couple of issues that I opened around adding similar or more tests into previous regressions, and one like high level, I hope high level, if idea that I proposed is, uh, if we are tracking singular cases of some issue happen, and then we fixed it then we fixed it, we added to the regression tests, or maybe we forgot, it would be good to have a track record for everything that happened. So one source of truth of, if someone wants to measure how successful the approach is, or we want to make sure that we still are able to robustness tests can still reproduce the old issues. We can it should be easier it should be something obvious that anyone can do, like any contributor. So I added a table which tracks our record of what was the issue with correctness or consistency, when we found it, when it was introduced. I still need to validate, like there's some issues like came from very early, like from the beginning. So one thing I like to point out is most issues we find now are not in the latest releases. And we heard, after introducing of robustness tests, we had heard a lot of good things about 3.5, people migrating to 3.5 because they feel much safer on it. And this can be like proven by robustness test finding we found two issues on 3.5, one of them by robustness test, but most after that, like since like from 2 years, all the issues we found are not 3.5 exclusive, which was a big thing for community, and I think it's a good success to talk. Good success, but still only like 2/3 of issues in last 2 years that we find are coming from a robustness test. We still have an issue, issues reported by users that we don't cut. Usually they're very we are just on the cusp of reaching them or detecting them by robustness, but we always like miss it by a small margin to, if we just covered progress notifications, if we just added some fail points for slow watcher client, if we in this case, if we covered transactions with reads, with stale reads. So I think we could do better, and there is still like huge surface to cover, but we are getting there. So if you want to help, there is always like something in the API that we could do better to make sure that all the future issues are just robustness tests. And other part of the effort of protecting the API is having still or maintaining ability to detect those regressions. So I currently only around the half of the old issues we found are covered, all of them are covered by robustness tests, but only half of them have a specific scenario that can give you guarantee that you can run and confirm that it works. So, for example, it's very nice demo during KubeCon or any other like presentation to take the old etcd durability issue, run one command, and be able to reproduce it in robustness test. So, and this still give us having such commands give us assurance that we haven't diverged from our goals. We are able to reproduce all the historical issues. So yeah, there's still a lot of commands that can be covered. It shouldn't be as hard. Those contributions shouldn't be as hard. Maybe a newer contributor could be, even a new contributor, if interested in this, could help. So yeah, we since last meeting we also moved all the documentation about like what does it mean to be robustness? What do we test? What are key concepts in the system? And how do we integrate with Kubernetes? Yeah, so this having such documentations is great. This improvement was based on feedback. So if you have and we are happy to address the feedback about like making those tests more approachable. So if you have any feedback, how we can make it easier for everyone to follow, please let me know. I'm happy to continue improving. With that, if there are no questions, we can continue, move forward. Just to make notes. And let me just note the improvement if someone doesn't don't have a chance to read and don't have time to view all the recording. Maybe let's leave some notes. So if there was a new issue with disk space. Okay. Going forward, so though this should close all the changes that we had in robustness in a couple of the weeks, let's now look at the current state of the test results. So yeah, also since last meeting, I think we had a huge improvement that reduced the flakiness, or at least for me, it looks much greener. Like if we look at the previous meeting, there was I think a lot of failures. Now it should be going down. So surprising, ARM is fully green. So let me open all the failures that we noticed, at least for last week. I think that should be good enough for now. Still, yeah, that's all. So 3, 6, 9, 11. Okay, that should be manageable today. Okay. Yeah, I last week there was a KubeCon, so I had a chance to also like look at them. Unfortunately, we are still seeing a lot of minimal QPS issues. Maybe let me make it more readable. So just store the ID of the test. So this is one, this is the other one. Here we have another QPS. And here we have two issues. Oh, that's something new, at least outside of normal pattern, or at least it seemed so. I think it finished on the same error with small QPS. Uh, the second failure, yeah, those we have two failures in QPS still. Yeah, so high level goal is to reduce number of flakes like this to a level that make the triage much more exciting. Because if it happen in reality, if or the goal is if there was any failure in robustness test, it should directly imply that there was a regression in correctness. QPS is like the last frontier of, oh, do we really, can we improve it? But yeah, a high level as any test, like we are trying to look for patterns. And so I would be interested to on this meeting to at least try to find a pattern here. And so we don't just like sit down and read some logs and it doesn't something come out of it. So here I would be interested in a couple of things. One is what scenario or what scenario it hit. What was the scenario? What was the etcd version? And what was the QPS? How much QPS we are missing? Okay, so this is a second type of flag that happens more rarely, but happens due to the member, like flaky member replace issue. And this is just a QPS. So we have one QPS, one member replace. Okay. In the QPS. Yeah. And this like looks both progress notification and member replace. So I think I really wanted to keep the member replace, or it's important fail point because it's disaster recovery scenario for etcd. So it'd be good to be sure that we are correct during disaster recovery. Just happens that there is the current how the scenario is implemented, there is some edge case that is very like rare, like I mean if we look at the let's say this member, or we can filter all the tests. So yeah, like member replace is pretty stable. That's interesting. Have we? But yeah, or that's maybe important to know. Member replace is stable on main branch, on on ARM, on 3.5, on ARM on 3.5. It's not stable on 3.4. This is a nice discovery. So would be good to note that, and maybe we can narrow down the thing. So yeah, this is also a member replace issue. Okay, so if I just clean it up and focus on subset of failures, let's keep this dashboard. So here we have 3 cases of member replace error, and this is 3.4, this is 3.4, and this is 3.4. So all have on 3.4. There might be. So yeah, looks like I mean when the member replace FailPoint was developed, it was developed on the main branch, and then it's so I tested it fairly on the main branch, but apparently it flakes on 3.4. So that's a good discovery that it's not something that is like flaking now anywhere. It's flaking specifically on 3.4. Is there any other pattern? It's Kubernetes high traffic member cluster membership free, Kubernetes high traffic member, and Kubernetes high traffic. So there is a pattern. Or is it this one? This is just a QPS. So yeah. So that would be. Don't want to spam this. So we have a pattern is happening. What we can do is debug why it fails on 3.4. Maybe reproduce and disable 3.4 and test on 3.4. Oh, both are possible. I think we should start from reproducing it. But before that, let's look at the QPS so we don't dive too deep into one issue and then forget. So there was, I think, also a common pattern here. We have Kubernetes high traffic, 3 nodes. The failpoint is after, and I'm interested in QPS. So let me say save. And this is QPS, and this is main. And copy the scenario name. I would love to have wider margin to make it readable, but you cannot have everything, apparently. So we have here, again, Kubernetes, high traffic, 3 nodes. After commit, have I opened it again? No, it's exactly the same case. So we have a lower TPS. So just number is enough. We don't need so many full places after the comma. It's again main, and it's again the same 5 point. So white page, but so narrow, so not enough text to pick. Okay, so 52, you have different endpoints. It's a in this case, we have a lot of logs, and this is a bug that is known or known issue that we logs are not well aligned. We I send a PR to fix it, but unfortunately, it doesn't fully fix it, or it fails. And it causes some other regression that makes the test not very work. So unfortunately, I cannot merge it. It's not a. Yeah, if anyone has any idea how to fix it, feel free to check the bug or the PR or follow my PRs. Okay, we have 2 failures, so let me note one, and the other will be here. So this is the first one, and here's the second one. So yeah, the main reason to collect it. I mean, we should make any decision to robustness. The robustness tests are by themselves valuable to have this high QPS requirement. We just if we had a better way to handle flakes, I would love to have at least ideas to mitigate or silence the flakes. It's just very hard to this. Or it's very easy if you have a lot of failures or none of the failures to ignore them. So we should. It's a balance that needs to be maintained by using making a data-based decision. So here, I think we have enough evidence to say 100. We are able to still hit 100 QPS. So it's just the requirement of 200 QPS. It's too high. And there is no strong correlation between version of etcd or scenario. It's both high in cases both high traffic. Yeah. I can continue to that. Are there any questions in the meantime? No. Is there? Oh, Okay. Sorry, Samuel. I didn't notice. Like I had just one small, not big enough, uh, not big enough screen to see it. But yeah. If you're interested into, I mean, if you have any specific issue like you're interested, like just grab it. Uh, if there is someone not working on it or like there is no update, like please ask if they need help. Like it's not that we. I think we should do it more, and I've seen a couple of examples of just people being collaborating, because it's, I know it might be too scary to start a, issue that you don't fully understand on your own. But yeah, are you interested in taking like one of the scenarios?
Yeah, I mean, I have been for the past, I think for the past 3 weeks, I've been pushing a lot of code, you know, into the like Raft, Augur, and I mean B block. I've been pushing a lot of code, first hand code, I mean, into it. But now I gradually want to pave my way. I want to build up so that I can gradually see how the entire project works, So at least you have an upper hand in terms of this particular project. That is why I'm asking that. I mean, if probably you see something that is within the beginner level to intermediate level, at least, I could work on that to try and, I mean, build capacity,
I mean, it's hard. Like that, maybe one problem in etcd, in robustness testing, you need to be interested in those, or they require a domain specific knowledge, so we need to learn and catch up of it. I usually like suggest it mostly to people that are interested in distributed systems. That's my reason for being here, is the distributed systems, because problems that we are trying to solve are not solved, or not solved for most of the databases. We are like trying to be, mm, like a lot of like looking on the new areas, or like trying to explore new ground of how do you make the most, like how do you make etcd, which is the foundational block for all CNCF projects, to be a solid foundation, which is usually not the goal of most like other projects. They just like need more features. So this makes contributions a little bit harder. And there are like if you are just interested in like new issue, like taking like for new contributors, there is like documentation or CI/CD related tasks, and people you might ask for robustness tests. Like usually recommend either, um, I would recommend that, just that document, or maybe document taking, like for new contributor, I recommend doing something that was already done, just adjusting it. So let me just to give an example. There was a
Well, I could also go into the robustness. I mean, I would have to do some digging to try and catch up. I mean, they've done it before. I mean, some people have done it before. So that's something I could also look at and see how it's done and then try and catch up as well.
Sure. I just want to make sure that you have something to grab. Like I usually recommend to have something to grab on. So
yeah.
So yeah, this is an example of such issue, or PR. So there is, it's not as clear, unfortunately. Like, but by something to grab on, I mean, there is a pattern of issues that similar issues that need to be made, and there is some prior work that you just need to maybe take someone else's work. You can, or you can look at it, you can verify, oh, like this is what I should do. I just need to adjust it in some ways. So like I mentioned in robustness test, we have now this tracking like command. um, if you could, no, let's say there is this issue. Let's create if we could provide a command like this, like those commands here, for progress notifications, that would be a good thing. I just need to make sure, do we have it already, like issue filed? I filed a lot of issues like this recently. Okay. Okay, we don't have a regression test. So yeah. Oh, I not signed in. Okay, let me just quickly sign in. Um, yeah, I don't know how to, so the only requirement command yeah, then command should be all at the version that is affected, and be like 100 runs, and update, add command to be more like add command. We would want command to be like this, just with number. The command should be connected to the version that is affected. Issue. So if you read the issue, you should find the version. If needed, it can add a patch for or I can skip it. I can just say patch might be needed for repro. Ask needed. Yeah. Command for should represent the failure with an update, and at the end, like the end result, update the didn't copy well. Track record over here. To copy here. Command. Yeah, maybe. How to start is to, yeah, follow and try using command like this is. I'm pretty sure this is very easy to reproduce. Yeah, does it sound good for you, Samuel?
Yes, yes, it sounds good. Could you please assign me so that I can easily see it?
Are you?
Samuel Battles. Samuel Battles 20.
I don't think. Unfortunately, GitHub doesn't like allow me to do a lot of things with assignments. Sometimes they.
Can I suggest that you add the good first issue tag? So that could also be a way to.
Yeah, we can. Yeah, so let's try this. It's a little bit for me like more complicated than for normal because it requires like you to have some deep dive and read something. I would suggest, I know, you need to do some preparation, and or maybe how to start. Yeah, follow and try. Um, try comment like to see how it should work. Yeah. So if you just comment, I will try to assign you.
Yeah,
If
can you put that the link in the this thing in the on the chat box so that I can comment on it right away?
sure. Or okay, you link me. I will maybe try to assign it to you. Yeah, it doesn't work. Maybe assign.
Now, if you put it in the chat box on Zoom, then I'll comment on it.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I don't. Yeah. GitHub is weird. Built for used by open source, but not built for open source.
I haven't received it on the Zoom yet.
Oh, okay. For some reason, by default, it made me write messages to
okay
bot. Okay. Okay. Yeah, this should be a nice. Let's try it out. It should be a nice like step by step. The issue, like if you need help, it's I always here is the like it's a pretty like all correctness issues are pretty like deep, sometimes deep dive. So there's a discussion how to reproduce it. The main important like stuff that it might be useful for you is about reproducing it or the tests. So usually when we want to we know that this happened to confirm that this issue happened, we have like reproduction thing. So yeah, so in the old times so this is like even the original code that I used to reproduce it in using robustness test. I just didn't enable it by default back then. So it might be that just we need something like a scenario that ensures that progress notifications are enabled and they're frequent. And in the make file we just need to pick a version like old etcd version that was affected. And like so you expect that if you enabled exactly this feature of this scenario and you have this specific LCD version, after some time it should reproduce. And the example also is helpful. Or, oh, for example, I used wrong example. This is maybe an better example. Yeah. Sorry for that. We just need to have like this. Having an example should help. So high level, you curious how like you pick the configuration of etcd, so you create a dedicated scenario for this issue, and I know you say that in your case there should be like generic profile, doesn't matter, fail point doesn't really matter, it could be even no fail point, just a sleeping fail point, and you just need one member cluster and that's all. And maybe you would need to make sure that the progress notifications are enabled. And then you, in this case, it's a little bit more involved, but in your case, maybe a simpler that you pick. GitHub doesn't work. Yeah, that happens. Yeah, expanding doesn't work. So you would want to create this level scenario, and the important part of this scenario is it picks the etcd version. So here we needed to compile a specific version of etcd, just that because the reproduction required a new fail point, or making it quickly reproducible, we added a new fail point. Like here is the again, or Golang, we need to reformat the file, but the thing that changes here is it adds a new fail point, one of those. So we use this, and here it is. Like this is the fail point that we add. We just make sure that I think in your case there is no need for fail point, so you can just like pick. You would use, if you know Makefile, you would just use a thing to compile an old version of etcd. You would just run it and then force here how you force in Golang the scenario. So you add a flag to test a regression issue, and after a couple hundreds of runs, or like it should reproduce. If you need help with reproduction, let me know. So yeah, the high level, like the flow is it's important for iteration robustness. This is expanding the API, finding, like triaging the issue on the dashboard. When we find an issue, then reporting it with all the evidence that we find, like we for someone to be able to confirm and to deep dive and root cause it, and then fix it. And when we have a fix, we take this fix and we add to the track record and add the commands for future for people to be able to reproduce it. So we still know that we make steps forward and not forget what we reproduce historically. Yeah, so this is important thing to have a full coverage here. So thank you for help.
Yeah, could you also include, the previous ticket that was issued? If you could include the link in the template for the task.
What exactly you would want to add?
Yeah, go back to the previous link. No, not this one. The previous link. Yeah, one of the tickets was done. Not this one. I think the pull request.
The ticket is here. Like here is the example. So it's linked already.
Oh, okay. That's what I needed.
Yeah. So that should help you. If you need, you can ask Fuwei. He was he's just moving his performance personal stuff, so he's not able to attend the meeting for now. And I think we need to maybe adjust the time zone for him to be more friendly for his time zone, but we will see. Yeah. So continuing on the toilsome work of ensuring we cover all the things. Just a couple left. Oh, and this is like, and this is very weird. So in most cases, we are able to get over 100 QPS, 150, maybe 149, and then we have 40 QPS. And what's up with that? Like, it's a 3.4 or ARM. Like, I don't really, like, it's like it's easy to lower the QPS and then say, oh, we are good, and then like every time you lower QPS by one, you will find yourself in a like a loop of infinite loop of, oh, we need to, like, it's always too high requirement. So the problem just festers. So it would be good to start like collecting, like, or I'm collecting this data to be able to have it for finding the pattern. But this is like 3.4, which is not great. Okay, and this is release 3.4, and this is release 4. Okay, I mean, at some point would be great to have the automation for doing this. It's just we don't have. It's harder to find, or like every time we have a new, like it's a new issue, some like it's easier for someone to do it once and then we are done. I think at this point we would get a lot of leverage by just lowering the QPS requirement, and I would propose that just to reduce the level of failures to manageable state. The
May I ask how we arrived at the number 200 for the baseline?
How we arrived to the number 200, I think that was like we started from much higher QPS, or the goal was to how high QPS we can do for the operations. And because the first, if we look at the first robustness test failure, or not failure, first correctness report, it was a very narrow race between two subsystems. So that was the issue. And back then, the approximate QPS that we estimated that we will need to reproduce is huge. Like it was, I think, over 1,000 QPS. Which convinced me that it should be we should maintain a goal of having how QPS, because the original framework for or previous framework for trying to find such consistency issue just didn't have any QPS guarantees. So you just put, there was something generating traffic, and when you got the traffic, there was something that you didn't know how much traffic you created, and over time it lowered. And the first issue that we hit was, it reproduces like like acceptable reproductions if you have 8,000 QPS. And 4,000 QPS already like makes it very small chance for reproduce, and only reproduces with 2,000 QPS. So currently we still, our like highest target for QPS is around 2000, or like the QPS is range is a just minimal maximal range. So if something goes too fast, like we still like try to limit it so to not to do more 2000 QPS. But even on my laptop, I can easily do 1000 QPS, and on my machine, like on my workstation, I can do 2000 QPS. It's just the problem of uh, flakiness. So it's acceptable for or we can get really high QPS in good situations, even on CI/CD. It's just the problem that once a week or once or here one, like when we run a lot of copies, you get unlucky after some time. Like here, like even with the robustness test failures, we are running every day each of those scenario, like each of those is, I know, 600 copies of the test, and we just get one failure per 600. So the flakiness is, I know, 1 in 1000, 1 in 2000, which is low, but still for a scale that we are trying to find the bugs like here is too much noise. Does it make sense?
Yes, it does.
But Marek, I'm actually, wondering what is the maximum number of QPS that one could do?
I mean, the QPS itself is not a goal. The goal is having this table and having all of this, like having some level of certainty that if this issue happens again, we are able to reproduce it. I have already tested it, and or like I remember from a couple of months I was trying to run this exact scenario to reproduce this issue. I don't think it reproduces in the like sensible percents. So what we can do, we need to find a way how we can, I don't know, either have a still maintain high goal, but maybe not a goal for 100% of runs. So we could approach it by, I don't know, having a faster machines or reducing, like I know, some bottleneck to reduce in machines to hit those high QPS in a repeatable way, or make the goal not trying to allow some tests to not run 100 like so high QPS. So the problem is there is no clear like one like solution. Oh, let's I don't know. Even like increasing CPU, we are not bottleneck on CPU. My current understanding is I think we are bottleneck on the disk, and we need like we need to find like we need to either lower the goal or find the goal, like tune it, or reduce the or remove the bottleneck. Currently, it's not or I don't have a ready solution at the moment. I think the problem with the bottleneck is if it's disk based, it's harder to request a disk. But we might want to do it to have a persistent like SSD disk, because usually for etcd people run etcd on the disk and not on the not in I mean, because in our CI we run in containers, it's harder to request it, or no other application requests a disk, high performance disk. It's a question: will we get a high performance disk? I think I'm like that would increase the costs. So my other idea would be, can we change our traffic pattern to make it more manageable for high performance, so we can still hit very high performance? And this have been harder, or like now the failures are mostly in high throughput, high traffic, and high traffic here just means it's reduced number of commands that we allow to run just to be able to hit higher performance. But apparently this is not this approach. Still, we are hitting the bottleneck. So yeah, I don't have a ready solution. I think at this point we don't the capacity for contributors is we don't have enough capacity to solve this problem. I'm happy to discuss what would be the best option. For now, I think we should just reduce the toil on. I think that we will make robustness tests more manageable for contributors if we reduce the toil to need to instead of reading 100 or 10 failures or 20 failures that are each, there is a common patterns. Maybe we should reduce the adjust the goal so we can have it. Be able to manage with current community. So it's not like you join the etcd community and first you need to do is to go through 10 issues that all of them are the same and we cannot solve it. Yeah, I mean, we are out of the time. There are 2 issues. I will try, if you are interested, reducing the QPS should be pretty simple. If you're interested, that's one of the thing we could do. I mean, it's just a 1-line PR, so I don't suggest it. I mean, if you just want to send a PR, that would be good enough. But yeah, it's just a simple configuration change. I mean, that's result of a lot of thinking and collecting that evidence enough for us to reduce the QPS requirement. Yeah, and I will dive into try to dive into the member replace, why it happens on 3.4. Yeah. Sorry for taking longer than the meeting. Hope this was useful for everyone to learn how the process looks like and what we can do to make the signal about etcd correctness more stable. It's I think there is a lot of things we could help. If you have any interest in anything specific, or you just want any ideas, I'm happy to accept and discuss ideas. We just have a limited capacity for how much we can do in some areas, because it's some ideas we just cannot get to, because there's always something more important. And yeah, so if you have idea you would want to help with, handling the QPS issue, discussing it, if you want to discuss the member replace, happy to follow up. Okay, that's all for today. Thank you for joining, and hope to see you on the next meeting.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you.